Hello everybody! In today's video, we're going to be unboxing some Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Universe rolling stock. This is Bachmann's HO scale, Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory ventilated van, and the Brendam Bay Shipping Company ventilated van. So let's get to unboxing. I think we've said this in many unboxings of Bachmann Thomas the Tank Engine products, but these things are very well packaged in that really hard blister packaging. I don't really think there's any way you can damage those cars in there unless you actually crush the packaging. So anyway, just a good testament to the packing quality there from Bachmann. So there's a little insert in the outer packaging, as you can see that car just sits in. These are, if you didn't mention it before, these are HO scale pieces of rolling stock here. And there's a look at Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory ventilated van. And we'll move on to the Brendam Bay. Alright, and there is the Brendam Bay Shipping Company ventilated van. So there's a couple of quick looks there, but we'll throw them on the turntable and take a closer look. Okay, so first up is Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory ventilated box van. So as you can see right here, we have the kind of predominant feature here is the logo on the side, Mr. Jolly. And so that looks like it's kind of painted on there, which is kind of good. You can see actually the spaces between the planking actually in there to give it that kind of painted feel versus a like just a sticker being thrown on there. So that looks pretty good. But yeah, you can see all the planking down here on the brown side. You get the cross bracing. So it all looks, the detail here looks pretty good. The doors aren't functional, but you know, I think that's pretty par for the course for these. But otherwise, the static detail is great. It's all plastic construction except for the metal wheels, and it's got your braking mechanisms down here, and you can see all the, you know, all the rods and you know, pieces of metal down here that look like they, you know, pivot and push the brakes in and things like that. Again, nothing functional, but it looks great. So yeah, we've done a number of these box van videos in the past. So, and as far as I can tell from my research, I think a lot of these kind of vans here, box vans, are based off of the 12-ton box van. So, you know, they do have a place in history, just like everything else in the Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends universe, based after actual stuff. So, yeah, let's continue around and give it a spin. If I didn't mention it, it's about 4 inches long, coupler tip to coupler tip. All right, looking from one of the ends here, you can see again that planking effect or molding comes around the back here with this bracing, and you can see, if you look really close, you can see the rivet or bolt work in the iron that's used to kind of brace up that planking. You can see the black buffer beam with the buffers and the black painted buffer pads. And then you've got your hook and loop coupler back there, and then you've got a little utility hook sitting there on the back. And you can see the curve of the roof here. And then you can see these two vents here, which I think should give the ventilated van its name. So those little vent features there. But yeah, let's look at the back. So let's give it a turn. Okay, looking at the opposite side here, this is a mirror image of the, or an exact image of the opposite side. Both sides are identical.
Identical.
And if you can see it here, you'll see it more from the top, but there's a little curved little detail up there on the roof. You know, hypothetically, or not hypothetically, but that's probably some kind of a gutter to kind of shed rain rolling off the roof to either side of the door when people are working in the door there. But yeah, not a whole lot to add to this side compared to the other side, so let's continue turning. And the same can be said for this side here, this opposite end. Again, identical to the opposite end there. Planking, the vents, and the nice bracework there. So yeah, let's bring it full circle. All right, let's take a look at the top and the bottom. All right, looking at the top here, again, this is just a glossy plastic roof here, steel roof in real life. And here you can see, if you can see that, there's that little curved gutter that would shed water off of that kind of curved roof away from the door. That's on both sides. And then you can see here on the very end, you can see this piece of bracing metal here and some of the bolt work that's molded into the plastic. So good detail on the roof. Even though there's not a lot of features on the roof, you know, I think they hit the important points there. So let's take a look at the bottom. All right, on the bottom you can see here the steel wheels. You can see the hook and loop coupler here and that little delicate spring action there. And yeah, not a whole lot of model detail down here. By model detail, I mean like you don't see planking and things like that. That, you know, it would look like the actual bottom of of one of those ventilated vans. It's just pretty much stamped plastic with the Bachmann logo, part number, and then some other manufacturing information there. So yeah, but just to give you a look at the bottom. Oh, and there's some screws here so that you can remove those couplers if needed. And there's some other access screws that might be hidden behind the axles there in case you need to get up into that box van for whatever reason. Okay, next up is the Brendam Bay Shipping Company. Now, we don't need to take a detailed look at this because this is exactly like the Mr. Jolly Chocolate Factory box van. It's just a different, it's just cast in a different color or molded in a different color, and then of course it's got different logoing there on the side. Where in white letters says Brendam Bay Shipping Company. Beautiful blue color. That's really like the color of the Brendam Bay box van here. But here we're just going to go ahead and give this a spin just so that you can see all sides of this particular box van. That blue and gray of the roof really look great together. It's a good color combination. Okay, as we like to do when we have the same either rolling stock or locomotive in different scales, we like to do a little side-by-side comparison here. Now, we don't have Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory ventilated box van in N scale. I don't think it comes in N scale, but we do have it in G scale, and as you just saw, HO scale. So here's the comparison of the two. And I say this every time we do this, but Bachmann really does a great job in kind of representing the two models and the two different scales to pretty good accuracy. There are a couple differences on here though. As you can see on the Mr. Jolly's from the video, and maybe you can see it here, it has this kind of steel bracing and it has the double vents on the end. But if you look at the G scale, it has this different front here. I don't know if there's a technical name for this front, but you can see here it's not planks, it's these kind of raised ribs. And then it has a single vent in the center rather than two vents on either side. But that seems to be really the only main differences. I think there's also some differences in the bracing on the side, but yeah, essentially they're the same. They're the same, van, but again with some slight differences here. So anyway, just thought you'd be interested in seeing the differences between the G scale version and the HO scale version. And here we have the Brendam Bay box fans together here with the G scale and the HO scale. And the differences are the same as with the Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory. So they have the single vent on the G scale and the double vent on the HO scale. There's a difference in the bracing. There's no bracing on the G scale, but there's lots of vertical and diagonal bracing here. And as a matter of fact, on this one, as well as the Mr. Jolly's, on the G scale, the planks run vertically, whereas on the HO scale, they run horizontally. And of course, they've got the same here. They got the difference in the end styling here. So yeah, there are some differences between the G scale and the HO scale, but by and large, they're great reproductions, and they seem like a pretty darn good quality here. So anyway, just thought you'd like to see the comparison between the G scale and the HO scale. All right, so there you have it. Bachmann's HO scale Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Universe ventilated box vans for the Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory and the Brendam Bay Shipping Company. Now let's go take these ventilated box vans out on the layout for a run.